and welcome. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'kivanu b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And I'm going to get the screen sharing going here. Here. Okay. So I have to tell you a little bit. Of course, I did not post this particular posting the last time we did it, because I have to confess I was struggling with it and I really wasn't happy with it, and fortunately was able to go over it and hope that at this point it'll be I'll be able to explain it properly and that you'll enjoy it. This is Torah Temimah that we're going to be doing today, and it has to do with when you make agreements, because this is a great agreement that the Jewish people and God are making, and to make sure that there's clear understanding on the part of both sides as to what the expectations are and all that kind of thing. So that's, in a sense, what we are looking at right now. So,
I'm sorry, Rabbi. Where are we exactly?
okay,
I don't. So I know what I'm.
We're chapter 29. We're still looking at Nitzavim, even though the Parsha of this this coming week is Rosh Hashanah, and then the following, in between, it will be Ha'azinu. But even so, right?
Okay.
I feel
Thank
like
you.
I did not make the bracha.
You did.
I did. Okay.
Yes.
Short-term memory. It's really fun. So it's the verse that says, "Velo itchem levadchem," not with you alone. Am I ani koret et habrit hazot ve'et ha'alah hazot? Am I? This is Moses speaking to them. Am I establishing this covenant and the associated curse with it? Right, the conditions, let's say, right, or the consequences. Allah very often does simply mean curse. So the associated consequences. So not with you alone. That's the Hebrew here. And I will tell you, before we get into the into the Torah Temimah, what he's going to explain is that there's an unusual interpretation. So not with you alone is going to be understood with, that it's not going to be your understanding. This was one of the issues. The Hebrew, I wasn't real comfortable with the Hebrew that is going to be used here in a second, as you will see. All right, so let's take a look. Velo itchem levadchem, and not with you alone, right? Levad means by yourself. So we're understanding as, and not with you by yourselves. So, explanation. Amar lahem Moshe Yisrael, said Moses to the Israelites, Du shelo al da'atchem ani mashbiah. So I want to get rid of that. Okay. Know that it is not with your understanding that I am making you swear. There is a translation that I have. Let me see if I can find it for you. Oh dear, sorry. See if I can get out of that. I may have to. Dear. Sorry, I hit the wrong thing, and so now good. So let me try this now. There we go. So it's here. Here's the verse. This is a translation. I think it's Sol Sharfstein, if I'm not mistaken. Here it goes. And not with you alone. Moses hereby said in effect to Israel, know that it is not according to your construction of the oath, in other words, your understanding of the oath, that I am adjuring you, but according to God's and according to mine, as it is written, and not with you alone. So here we are. Let's take a look again. Let's take a look at the Hebrew, right? So it is not with your understanding that I am adjuring you, making you swear. Ella al da'at hamakom, but on God's understanding and on my understanding. Shne'emar, as it states, velo itchem levadchem, and not with you alone, and not you yourselves, is how this is being understood, which of course raises questions as to the understanding of this verse, right? Because it doesn't sound like that, and Torah Temimah is going to deal with that as to what allows us this particular interpretation. So just to clarify what's being said here is, that Moses is saying to them, you may understand it a certain way, but I want you to understand this in the way that God understands it and that I understand it. In other words, what my expectations are. Know that the expectations are based on what God's expectations are and my understanding of those expectations, and not yours. So again, leaving a lot of questions, but we're going to try and deal with that right now. So, Ritzono lomar, what he meant to say, lo kamo she'atem b'machshevet levavchem. This oath is not being taken as the thoughts in your heart, what your own expectations are. Right? This oath is not based on how you feel in your hearts about it. So again, that doesn't explain things fully, but so first of all, we want to know why does it come up with this particular interpretation? And it would appear that what our rabbis saw in order to come up with this explanation, pasuk zeh, this particular verse, and they're not explaining it as it would appear to mean, right? In other words, the way we would understand it when it says "not with you alone" would mean, with future generations. Al dorot habaim. That in fact, what he was saying when he said "not with you alone" is that he was saying that this agreement, this covenant, is with future generations as well, not just with you, but with future generations. So why don't they take it that way? That's the question, right? Mishum diktiv batar hachi. And the reason is because right after this, in the very next verse, it goes on to say, Et asher yishno po, those who are here today, those who are here, ve'et asher einenu po, and those who are not here, which obviously refers to future generations. So that statement takes care of future generations. Imkain, and if this is the fact, bazek far kalal kol hadorot rabim, all those future generations are included in that particular phrase. Kemevu'ar bedrasha basuk haba, as will be clarified in explaining the next verse. So now we have left over this expression, velo itchem levadchem, and not with you by yourselves, l'drashazo, for this particular interpretation. That when it says it's not with you by yourselves, meaning your own understanding of what this commitment, this covenant is about. So just if you have a question with, as I go on with this, please raise your hand, show me that you're raising your hand, and I will stop and just make sure that you're following the logic of this particular interpretation. So, Uma shekatuv al dat hamakom ve'al da'ati, and the fact that, this interpretation says it's on God's understanding and on my understanding, mashma dehayat tzarich lahashpi'am al pi shtei deot, it implies that he had to adjure them with these two understandings, right? These two expectations. And how come? Mishum de pasuk hakodem, because in an earlier verse, that is in verse 11, Ketiv asher Hashem Elochecha koret imach. It says there, which the Lord your God is establishing with you hayom today. So if we go back to verse 11, and I'll go back, we're looking actually at verse 13. So let's go back to verse 11, and I will show you. So, right? So here we go. To establish the covenant of the Lord your God and its sanctions. Here we go. Asher Adonai Elohecha koret imcha hayom, which the Lord your God is establishing with you today. So it's saying, in other words, this is God. God is the one who's making this covenant. So there's the one case. That's why it says al dat hamakom, with God's understanding. Let's go on. Here we go. V'chan, and here in this verse it says, Ketiv, it says, Anochi koret et habrit. I, Moses the speaker, am establishing this covenant, etc. Mizeh mashma, and from these two verses it implies Shaya mashpi'am gam al da'ato, that Moses was adjuring them according to his understanding, according, to his conditions, the gam al da'at hamakom, and also God's conditions. And again, just to clarify, what is this about? We are gonna do that. Umehai tama, and for this particular reason, kachol hashvuot shemashpi'in. It turns out that whenever oaths are taken, right, whenever people are adjured, okay, shemashpi'in, tzarich lomar, one has to state, in other words, explicitly state, shemashpi'in oto, that you're adjuring him, shelo al da'ato, that you're not making this according to how he's understanding it. Again, we're going to clarify it, but this is not according to his understanding, the person you're extracting this oath from. Rak al da'at hamakom, but as God would understand it, the al da'at betin, and according to the understanding of the court, right? Because one would do this in general, one would do these extract these oaths, adjure, in a court. And what's the purpose of this? To prevent this person, if he's undoing it in the way he wants to take it, it's possible that he's going to be looking for loopholes in the oath. And we want to prevent it, and that's why he is told it's not how you understand it. In other words, you're not going to have that opportunity to find a loophole in the oath. And he gives you an example, like the occurrence, the Maite beGemara, which is brought in the Gemara, be'echad shelive kesef mechavero. Okay, shalava kesef mechavero. There was an individual who borrowed money from his neighbor, from another person, unatanam betoch maklo, and he put that money into his staff. He hid the money in the hollow of his staff. V'ta'an hechazarti lecha, and he made a claim that I returned to you the chayvuhu lishava. So he made this claim that he had returned the money in court, that he no longer owed this person the money, didn't need to return it to him, and the court required him to take an oath, to take an oath to that effect. And at the moment he took the oath, Amar lahamalveh, he said to the lender, hold on to this stick ad she'eshva, until I've taken the oath. V'nishba, and then he made the oath sheheshivlu, that he had returned him the money, the kavanah al netinat hamakel. But he simply meant the fact that he'd returned the money through the stick. V'achar shenishba chazar v'natlo, and after he made the oath, he took back the stick. So that's why we are saying, we want to make sure you don't find any loopholes. So this is going to be on the clear understanding of the court and on Hashem, on God. So now he goes on, he's got another, he because of his knowledge, because of Baruch Halevi Epstein, incredible knowledge of all this material, he finds an issue which he's going to tell us, right? But it turns out that in the Choshen Mishpat, which is the section of the Shulchan Aruch, this major work regarding Jewish law, halacha, that deals with issues of the court and things like that involve high levels of expertise in order to apply the halacha. And he gives you the reference, Siman Pei Zayin, and it's the section 87, Seif Kaf, and it's paragraph 20. Halashon, there it's written, Ela al da'atenu. It says, that when you make this oath, when you extract this oath, abjure someone, you say, according to our understanding, the al da'at beit din, and according to the understanding of the court. So the question now is, who is this da'atenu? Who is this our understanding? Right? Because we've got the court mentioned here. So who's this? Umashma Sham, okay? And so there in this passage in Choshen Mishpat, it implies Sha'anashim ha'omdim shan, that there are people standing around who are not part of the court, right? But they're standing and seeing the proceedings, B'sha'at hashvu'ah, at the moment when this oath is being taken, Omrim zeh, they're the ones who say this. So why? Because if in fact it referred, if this da'atenu was referring to the beit din, to the court, then why do we say according to our understanding the al da'at beit din, and according to the understanding of the beit din, dahainu da'atenu, hainu da'at beit din, because it's one and the same thing. So why mention both? It should just say, according to the understanding of the court. So who else is around there? So we're going to assume that it's people who are coming to see the proceedings. Aval lo yadati efo matzu girsazu. And he says, this is Baruch Halevi Epstein saying, I don't know where they found this particular expression or this particular version. Where did this version come from? Uvi Yalkut v'Rambam u'v'Hilchot Gedolot, and in the Yalkut and in Maimonides' work on Halacha and Hilchot Gedolot, another major work on Halacha, Hagirsa Kamosh Lefanenu, right? So what he means by this exactly, I still am not certain, but he's saying the version is like as before us. So when he says before us, I don't know if he means not like the Choshen Mishpat. Right? So it sounds like it, that what he's saying is here, in these various other works, it's not like in the Choshen Mishpat. But I haven't looked at those other works. I don't know, where it's necessarily found. I'd have to do research to see exactly what he means. But I'm going to assume he means it's the way we have it initially. V'gam yesh hechreach. And he says there's also a reason to understand that statement, right, according to our understanding, is not from the group that's standing there, right, the non-bet din people that are around. Right? Why? Ki begamara kan, because in the Gemara, in this particular place in Shavuot, page 39a, right? It says, Ita od be'inyan hashvu'ah. It says, in addition, regarding the adjuration of this oath, im amar hareini nishba ha'omdim sham, and if he says, I am going to include the people who are standing there, okay, right? I'm going to also bring into, this understanding the people who are standing there. Omrim, they say, Surunama el ohole hanashim harashim ela. They say to them, I'm assuming it's the court here, who says, go away, remove yourselves from the tents of these wicked people. It's a reference to the story of Korach, where they're warned to get away, the Israelites who were not part of this community, to get away because, of course, the earth was going to swallow them up. All right, so they use that as in a way, a literary reference. Mashma, so that implies the rak privat zeh. So interesting. So it's if he wants to include these other people, mashma, that implies the rak prifrat zeh omrim haomdim, right? That we have to understand that in this particular case, right, in this specific case, omrim haomdim, the people standing there, they say to the people they say to them, aval zulatze, right? But except for this, so it could be that what he's saying is that maybe in this Choshen Mishpat, maybe when it comes to the people standing there, you can say it's according to their understanding as well, right? Because what it's saying is, Hareini nishpa ha'omdim shan. I am also adjuring the people who are standing there. So that's, you can't include them in that way, but you can include them in this particular issue where you could say possibly that it's according to their understanding. Aval zulatze, except for this case, kol ha'amirot heve bebeitin. Everything stated has to be in the bet din. That these particular statements, these legal statements, have to be done through the court. Uve'emet ezus farahi she'anashim minachutz. And he's saying, well, what logic is there that people who are not part of the court proceeding, yabiu omer hadoresh yedi'ah, should even say, he's just not happy with any kind. This is Baruch Halevi Epstein is not happy with the idea that these people who are not part of the court should have anything to do with the actual extraction of the oath, right? Yabiu Omer, that they should express something, Hadoresh Yedi'ah, which requires an understanding, a level of understanding, Velimud V'hora'ah, in other words, and this to study it and to also express exactly what this oath is about. It's not for them to do. It's for the court. The court is going to require to exactly express all the implications, right? All the conditions that the oath is about. For this reason, it appears that the version in the Choshen Mishpat, Sarich Tikun, needs to be corrected, so that it fits what is in the Gemara. And it would appear, right, Mishpat, that the reason why the Choshen Mishpat has this version, right, Halashon HaNitzah B'Nedarim Kafei, because we find this in another Talmudic tractate, in the tractate Nidarim on page 25, Uveshavuot Kaftet, okay, and in the tractate Shavuot on page 29, the Gam Sham Tzarich Tikun, and his Baruch Halevi's Epstein's conclusion is that those particular versions are wrong as well. We got into a technicality here, of course, but and I'm sorry that again there was a lack of clarification for me exactly what he is saying in this particular area here. But I think what he's saying is that when he's quoting this particular place here, he's saying that the person who's being adjured has no right to include other people. It's strictly a matter of the court and the court's legal understanding of the implications of this particular oath. And I'm going to stop the share here and hope that at least it's better. This explanation is better than the one that I attempted the last time. Did I lose you completely, or are you able to follow this better? Any comments? No? Nothing? Okay. All right. Well, let me know. Comment if you want in the comment section. Golda.
I don't have anything.
Okay. All right.
Just
okay.
being here. Yeah.